Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law. And for today's stream, we are returning to a series we haven't picked up for about 3 years, our Capitol Riot series. We previously did 57 of these, and this will be number 58 in our series, Jacob Lang. So basically, I'm doing this because Tim Pool recently had a leftist guy on, and he said this guy had been held for 3 years. In 3 years, basically, as a political prisoner. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, okay, who is Tim Pool talking about? Who is he talking about? What did he do? What's going on? Has he really been held for 3 years without trial? If so, why? What is going on? So we're going to try to cover this case a little bit today. So we're going to try to figure out what is going on. So we will begin with the case from the District Court of District of Columbia in the case of United States of America versus Edward Jacob Lang, who was charged with a whole bunch of shit, and then we'll talk a little bit about what he's been doing and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and discuss that. So we've read this before, purpose of the affidavit. Maximum Bacon says, as I understand it based on reporting, he didn't ask for a trial delay until November of 2024. So the question a lot we have is why the trial dates take so long. His guilt is ancillary to legal process concerns. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know whether or not he has to delay or not until 2024. That seems like a fairly long time if he hadn't asked for a delay. That seems like a long time. Had he invoked his right to a speedy trial? And was he denied his right to a speedy trial? And if he didn't invoke his right to a speedy trial, then it doesn't really matter to some extent. So it's like, okay, that would be like the things I'd want to know, right? So it's like, that seems like a long time, but if he hadn't invoked his right to a speedy trial, then he's not entitled to a speedy trial, so it kind of doesn't matter to some degree. All right, so let's go ahead and try to read this, and thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. And I'll give you a little heart if I can. There we go. Thank you for the super chat. All right, so we know the basic, right? It goes to the background. Okay. So we discussed January 6th, proceedings, approximately blah, 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 short time after, blah, 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 blah. All right. So we know about January 6th. Let's discuss his case a little bit. Beginning on or about January 7th, investigative agencies began receiving tips from the public relating to civil unrest and breach of the United States Capitol, and multiple people identified Lang as being involved. The tips included photographs of Lang on the grounds of the Capitol on January 6th. At least one photograph shown below identified Instagram at Real Jake Lang as the account used by Lang. Yeah, you gotta just rat on yourself, man. The photograph appears to have been posted at some point during or after the attack of the Capitol and depicts Lang wearing a black jacket with numerous silver zippers and a ribbed pattern on his shoulders. Standing on the steps of the Capitol, Lang captioned the photograph, 1776 has commenced. Yeah, the evidence against Lang being involved on the events are, we've got certainly some indicia that certainly seems to be suggesting that. We got from his Instagram account a photo of him with 1776 has commenced, his arms spread wide. Yeah, that could be potentially a problem. On January the 9th of 2021, the FBI interviewed a witness who identified Lang as a person involved in the riot. The witness met Lang when they were children and has maintained a social media connection with him in excess of 10 years. So I know who he is. The witness provided photographs of Lang actively participating in the attack. The witness identified his Facebook as the account belonging to Lang, which is consistent with the Facebook account attributed to Lang by investigators. Yeah, Jake X Lang might be his account. Yeah. The witness also provided April 7th as a potential birthday and month for Lang and believed Lang was either born in 95 or 96. Law enforcement agencies retrieved a driver's license photo from Lang, a resident of New York, and asked the witness if it recognized the person in the photograph. The witness confirmed the person was Lang. The witness also provided the below photograph of Lang, which was posted to Lang's Facebook page, and an accompanying video showing him in a large crowd at the Lower West Terrace door of January 6th. Yeah. Additionally, photographs provided by the witness from Lang's Facebook page include more references to Lang's participation in the Capitol, such as this from Jake Lang. I watched a woman die yesterday in front of my eyes. Well, in order to do that, you'd have to be inside the Capitol, right? I mean, in order to witness the death of Ashley Babbitt, you would have to be inside the Capitol. So, yeah. I saved 2 others from being trampled and suffocated by the Capitol Police. They murdered her and tried to murder many, many more. This is an act of war by tyrants against the American people. 4 American patriots died yesterday. No. I was shot with a lethal round in the foot. It shattered multiple places, stitches in my skull, deep cuts all over my body for freedom and liberty and defend the American Constitution. Thank you, God, for the opportunity to help save your children from tyranny. This is only the beginning. Jake Lang is at the White House on January 6th at 8:04 p.m. He says, I was the leader of liberty today. Arrest me. Okay, Jake. Okay. Based on my training and experience, I understand Instagram holders can post photographs, videos, and temporary stories, among other things. Photographs and videos posted to the user's account remain displayed indefinitely unless intentionally deleted by the user, while stories automatically vanish after 24 hours. Between on or around January 6th and the present, the subject's Instagram posted several stories, videos, and pictures depicting the riot that occurred in the Capitol. Some of the depictions are described in greater detail. On or about January 7th, Lang posted a photograph on the subject's Instagram with the tagged location as Capitol Hill and showed Lang smiling and wearing a blue and white floral patterned shirt, which matches the shirt in the still shot from the video referenced above. The caption reads in part, pepper spray really does wonders for your complexion, 1776. The photograph shown below appears to be taken on the Capitol grounds. An image in the background are consistent with known of those of the Capitol grounds. Okay, on or about January 8th of 2021, Lang posted a video on the subject's Instagram, which appeared to be a compilation of multiple videos with the caption, give me liberty or give me death. The video depicted the following 2 moments. Oh, God. The video initially showed Lang in the crowd saying, I ain't done yet. Lang wore a black leather jacket with a blue floral patterned shirt underneath, consistent with the ones depicted above. As the video progressed, another video involved in the compilation showed an individual consistent with Lang with a green gas mask on and the same black jacket and blue floral pattern underneath. Lang appeared to film himself directly in front of law enforcement and to be pointing at them. Okay, yep, there he is in the black jacket with his blue and white floral patterned shirt poking out underneath. And there he is in his black jacket, again, posting on his own page. Subtle clues, it might be him, guys. Subtle clues, it might be him. Here's another picture of him in his black jacket with his blue floral print shirt on. Screenshots of stories posted by the subject's Instagram were captured and provided to the FBI. One of the screenshots shown below depicted an entrance to the Capitol guarded by law enforcement, who were violently attacked by the rioters attempting to gain entrance. This story has the words, "This is me," and an icon pointed at the front of the crowd. Yeah. Well, I can't necessarily see him in the photograph, but he has kindly posted it on Real Jake Lang and kindly, thoughtfully said, "This is me," with the arrow. So the self-snitching is very, very real, Dave. The self-snitching is very, very real. Based upon my review of the documents, photographs, and conversations with other law enforcement, I know the entrance depicted in the photograph above is the lower west terrace door of the Capitol. Several open source videos, in other words, people taking photographs themselves and posting it on social media, that would be what that would mean, and photographs captured the events that transpired at the lower west terrace door. The images show Lang violently engaging with law enforcement as they attempted to keep rioters out of the Capitol. Some of the videos and photos consist of the following. A recording of a video story that screenshot apparently above depicted was posted on Twitter. In the video recording, you can see an individual raising a riot shield over his head as the crowd cheers and then violently slam the shield down on the ground repeatedly near where the officers are visibly lined up. That individual is in a black jacket, MPD helmet, and gas mask consistent with the videos depicted above. Yeah, I mean, he does seem to have a riot shield, and he is pointing directly at him and does seem to be potentially displaying it in potentially an aggravating way. Multiple high-resolution videos uploaded to Getty Images also capture the same events. Video posted to the Getty Images database show what appears to be Lang in a large crowd holding a protective shield bearing resembles to the one used by law enforcement. He raises the shield above his head and thrusts it in the direction of law enforcement. Video posted to Getty Images shows what appears to be Lang in a crowd holding a protective shield as other members of the crowd swing bats and batons at officers, as well as throw projectiles at them. Lang went on to retrieve a riot helmet with the letters MPDC on the ground and wear it for the duration of the video. The helmet is consistent with the equipment used by the officers. So he acquired some of their equipment. That's exciting. Videos posted to Getty's Images shows what appears to be Lang in a crowd outside the Lower West Terrace store wearing a black jacket and green gas mask. In the video, Lang partially removed the gas mask, leaving his face exposed. Great. Photographs posted to Reuters online database appears to show what's Lang carrying the protective shield and engaging with law enforcement. Photographs of the Pacific Press Agency similarly show an individual consistent with Lang near the arch as those around him strike at the officers with poles along with the latter close-ups of his face. A few photos and still shots from the videos are enclosed below. Here's a nice screenshot from Getty's. That could be good. Here's another one from Getty's. Here's one from Reuters. You can see, by the way, you can see the bit of his clothing sticking out from the jacket there. Sorry for accidentally scrolling through too much. But you can see the floral print sneaking out from behind his leather jacket. You can see that same floral, blue and white floral print, the collar of it just sneaking out from behind his jacket there. Yeah. Here he is doing his best cosplay. There he is again, same mask, same jacket. Yeah. There he is again. Thank you, Pacific Press. An open source image of social media depictions from January 6 uncovered several videos and photographs of the Capitol breach of Lang. Video posted to the Facebook account shows an individual consistent in appearance with Lang in the front of the crowd with a dark and red colored baseball bat. In the video, Lang thrust, swung, and or jabbed the bat at law enforcement multiple times. So they have video of him swinging a bat at law enforcement. Yeah. In doing so, Lang struck at least the shields of the officers held in front of them. As the video progresses, others in the crowd assist in the attack, with some throwing items and one individual spraying the officers with the fire extinguisher. An open source video of social media depictions also uncovered additional videos and photographs of Lang discussing his thoughts about what would follow the attack. Well, that's always helpful because, if we need to determine what his intent was, his own social media will go a long way towards that goal. So, you can determine someone's intent from their actions alone. So, but what would be really helpful? It would be really helpful if we can look to his own social media where he might tell us his thoughts that might further reveal his intent. That might be exciting. The following was an excerpt of a conversation expressed online. Some female. So what do you think happens next? Lang, guns, that's it. One word. The First Amendment didn't work. We pull out the second. We're all civilized people. And we love going to work and praying to God on Sundays and having nice family barbecues. And that was every single person there. Okay, no one wants to take this and die for our rights, but dying for our rights is the only option that any person with a logical brain sees. This is it. Yeah. On January the 14th of 2021, Lang posted a story to his subject's Instagram. Among other things stated, I want to use this time to thank all you people that have been reaching out, calling me a patriot. Been really amazing to have this impact on the community. Going to keep on fighting for you guys. We got some big things planned. We're not going to let them take our constitutional liberties. Our God-given rights are safe within the hearts of patriots. So we won't give up. You guys shouldn't give up. Contact me if you want to be part of a patriot movement. Yeah, that's a lot. So that was exciting. Let's read what the grand jury charged him with. So let's see what the grand jury charged him with based on those reports. Okay. Civil disorder, assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers, assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers using a dangerous weapon, obstruction, aiding and abetting, disorderly and disruptive conduct within the building, engaging in physical violence within the building, disorderly conduct within the building, acts of physical violence in the building. Yeah, I mean, they basically provide the prima facie case for all those things. They provide the prima facie case for all those things. Yeah. On or about January 6, 2021, from about 4:10 to about 4:13 within the District of Columbia, Edward Jacob Lang committed and attempted to commit an act to obstruct, impede, and interfere with law enforcement, lawfully engaged in lawful performance of duties, incident to and during the commission of a civil disorder, delayed and adversely affected the conduct and performance of the federally protected function. Yeah, he did that. On or about January 6th of 2021, from about 4:10 to about 4:13 within the District of Columbia, Edward Jacob Lang did forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, and interfere with an officer of the United States and any branch of the United States, and any person assisting such an person while the person was engaged on the account of their duties. Yeah, he did that. On January 6, 2021, from about 4:44 p.m. to about 4:46 p.m. within the District of Columbia, they committed and attempted to commit an act to obstruct, impede, interfere with law enforcement. So now we have a second incident. So we have the event from 4:10 to 4:13 where he obstructed. Now we have an event between 4:44 and 4:46 where he's obstructing. So we have a second incident. On or about January 6th, from about 4:44 to 4:46, Edward Jacob Lang, using a deadly or dangerous weapon, that is a shield, did forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, and interfere with an officer and employee of the United States. Yeah, it seems like he did that. Now we have a third incident. On or about January 6th, from about 4:54 p.m. to about 4:57 p.m. within the District of Columbia, Edward Jacob Lang committed and attempted to commit an act to obstruct, impede, and interfere with a law enforcement officer in lawful engagement of their duties. How did he attempt to do that specifically? Let me tell you. About 4:54 to 4:57 within the District of Columbia, Edward Jacob Lang, using a deadly weapon, that is a bat, did forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, and interfere with an officer of the United States. Yeah, he did that. He did that. Count 7. Within January 6th, within the District of Columbia, Edward Jacob Lang attempted to corruptly obstruct, influence, and impede an official proceeding by entering and remaining in the Capitol without authority and committing an act of civil disorder and destroying federal property. Yeah, he did that. On January the 6th of 2021, Edward Jacob Lang did knowingly and with intent to impede and disrupt the orderly conduct of business. And, as to his intent, see his own Instagram. We got that covered. Engaged in disorderly and disruptive conduct in and within such proximity to a restricted building and grounds, that is, any posted, quartered off, or otherwise restricted area within the United States Capitol. He did that. On count 9, Edward Jacob Lang did knowingly engage in any act of physical violence in any person and property in the restricted grounds. So now it's not just I committed it against a law enforcement officer. That was the previous count, right? I did it against a law enforcement somewhere. Now it's I did it against a law enforcement officer specifically within the grounds of the Capitol. Yeah, I did that. He did that. Count 10 in the District of Columbia, with intent to impede disorderly conduct, orderly conduct disrupted the proceedings of Congress. Yeah, he did that. And count 11 in District of Columbia, willfully, knowingly engaged in act of violence within the Capitol. Now it's not just assault against an officer. Now it's just an act of violence against somebody. Yeah, he did that. So yeah, the government has its prima facie case for all those things. He did all those things. They have their prima facie case. So yeah. Now let's see if we can find anything more about okay. Lang's prospects right after the court's Jan 6 decision, the Supreme Court agreed to hear a case challenging the obstruction charge. Yeah, so the law is changing on some of this stuff, but so yeah, he might not be guilty of that particular offense because the law is being clarified. But if he took a bat to a baseball, if he took a baseball bat and tried to strike at an officer, yeah, that's the Supreme Court's not going to help him on that one. It's a nice jacket. Also, Uncivil Law is a great name. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, the impeding Congress charge is likely to get tossed. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the Supreme, they've got their prima facie case. They've got their prima facie case. Some of these charges may not stick for legal reasons, and that's perfectly fine. But if he took a swing at an officer, there's no change of law that's going to help him. If he took a swing at a police officer with a baseball bat, there's no change of law that's going to help him. Yeah. Yeah. So this is dealing with this Enron statute. So this is so he might not be guilty of that kind of obstruction, which is fair enough because he didn't destroy documents. Right. So to the extent he's being charged with that, then, fair enough. So he may not be guilty of that kind of obstruction because he didn't try to destroy a document, which, fair enough. So maybe one charge he's not guilty of. Great. Only 10 more to go. Right. Only 10 more to go. Jailton seeks another delay in his trial. So let's try to figure out what the nature of these delays are. A New York man charged with beating the officers during January 6th and held in jail saw another delay before trial is set to take place. The New York man trial on 13 counts was scheduled to begin in federal court after being postponed 4 times as request since 2022. So apparently, since at least 2022, so apparently for at least the last 2 years, he's been delaying the trial. And so it seems like it's not, so it seems like he didn't invoke his right to a speedy trial. That seems kind of implied. He didn't invoke his right to a speedy trial. And he seems to have been wanting the delays for at least the last 2 years. And then the only other issue left is the issue of holding him without bond. And he's had 2 bond hearings. According to these articles, he's had 2 bond hearings. And the court, unsurprisingly, denied him bond. As we sort of discussed below. It's because he's been trying to form a militia within the walls. Or at least that's the perspective, right? It's as we saw from this Newsweek article, right? He's while imprisoned, he's taken to social media to organize supporters. In early June of whatever year this would be 2024. So in June of last year, he took to Twitter calling on a new constitutional militia. Yeah. Since then, apparently the group he's been associated with has tried to start 50 state-specific Telegram channels. Yeah. Regarding the formation, Lang told Wire, there's a tyrannical wave that has hit America we've never seen before. And so it's time that people get organized in case they escalate to something that basically puts our very lives in danger. Yeah. In reference to the 2024 election, Lewis said, oh, that's not Lewis, that's someone else. In the bylaws for the organization that Lang is associated with, the organization cites the Second Amendment as granting the people to assemble and the right to bear arms. Okay. It claims membership is open to all lawful citizens who are committed to the defense of liberty. It may require regular training exercise to ensure members are proficient in the use of firearms, tactics, and other necessary skills for defense of liberty. The organization's emblem features what appears to be a bomb exploding in front of an American flag. Yeah, I'm not having a real hard time understanding why he was denied bail and bond, guys. I'm not having a real hard time understanding why he was denied bail and bond. According to ProPublica, Lang previously tried to organize a militia in the days following Jan 6. ProPublica obtained thousands of Lang's messages, one of which said, "We need each person to go and fight for new members of this militia like our lives depend on it." Yeah. So, yeah. So, no. I mean, I don't think he's a political prisoner. It seems like he committed crimes. It seems like they've got their prima facie case based on video of him doing the things, plus his social media, plus, of course, that was only their prima facie case. One would imagine since then they have other video from inside, right? That was their initial charging document, right? That was their initial evidence. Like since then, one presumes they have found other evidence, including other video, including video from inside the Capitol, from its security feed. They also have witness statements and so forth and so on. So one would imagine the case against him has gotten better, in the preceding time. So they had their prima facie case for the initial arrest. And then, of course, it's not like the investigation stopped. So, yeah. So he's not a political prisoner. So I don't know what Tim Pool was on about with this guy being held. It's like, this guy's been held for 3 years without trial. Well, it seems like some of that's based on him. It seems like he didn't want a speedy trial. It seems like he's been trying to delay it for at least 2 years. So, and it seems like he's incredibly guilty. So I'm not sure what Tim Pool's on about. Not sure why he wants to delay trial. Time is usually seen as a benefit to the defense. But, witnesses become unavailable, memories fade, people, aren't available. Time is usually seen as an advantage to the government, to the defense. Okay. From ProPublica, this is war. Inside the secret chat where the far-right extremists devise their post-Capitol plans. Okay. Chats from the private Telegram group obtained by ProPublica shows how a suspect tied to January 6th tried to organize a self-styled militia. The tide will turn. Guys, this is a militia, not a chat room. Feel free to chat in your regional regiments after the leader vests you. When the FBI arrested Edward Jake Lang on Jan 16 for his alleged role in the Capitol attack, court documents show agents had followed a seemingly straightforward trail. Yeah. The government charged Lang with committing assaults and other crimes, but the account of his activities spelled out in court papers doesn't mention how the 25-year-old spent 10 days between the riots and his capture, recruiting militia members to take up arms against the Biden administration. So apparently he spent the 10 days... Apparently, he spent at least the 10 days following January 6th until his arrest, trying to organize a militia. I'm beginning to understand why he's being held without bail, guys. I don't think any lawyer in the world would have a really hard time getting this guy bail. Just by the way, for sake of legal edification, bail bond serves two purposes. Or more the point, denial of bail bond deserves two purposes, I suppose. It's like, why would you deny someone bail bond? There are two reasons. Okay. One, he's a flight risk. Two, he's a threat to the public. Right? We're afraid he's not going to show up. We're afraid he's going to hurt other people. Those are kind of your two reasons to deny bail bond. And bail bond should be set based on those two goals. Right? Bail bond is based on those two goals. What is the probability of this guy showing up? What is the probability this guy's a threat to others? If he's going to show up for sure, and he's not a threat to others, then no bail bond, right? There's no threat. If he won't show up or there's a threat to others, then we deny him bail bond because he's a threat. He's either going to escape justice or he's going to hurt other people, right? So it's like, okay, so what are the indication of these two factors? And it's like, well, it seems like he's a threat to others, guys. It seems like he's a continuing threat. So I think any lawyer would be really hard pressed to get bail bond under these circumstances. It's like, what do you want me to do as your lawyer? What exactly do you want me to do? What do you want me to go in court with? Your Honor, this guy should be granted bail bond. This guy's going to show up. He's not that much a threat to the community. What do you want me to go in and say, man? Right? What do you want me to go in and say? Apparently, in the 10-day interval from January 6th to when he was arrested, he wrote on January 9th, everyone needs to get 5 patriots in this group tonight, and that's the goal. We need each person to go out and fight for new members of this militia like our lives depend on it. ProPublica gained access to the group after Lang sent out an invitation to the reporter's social media account. Oh, that's great. How did the reporter gain access to these messages? However, did the reporter gain access to these super secret Telegram messages? Was it a hacker? Was it an inside informant? No, they invited the reporter into the group. That's just stellar. That's just stellar. We could have a conversation about OPSEC anytime. That would be fine. ProPublica gained access to the group after being invited. It's unclear whether Lang knew he invited a reporter. The reporter joined but did not participate. The group, created 2 days after Jan 6, grew from a dozen members to nearly 200. They're safe from deplatforming spree of mainstream social media. Lang set out to recruit normies and radicalized them to the point they joined regional militia groups. Lang's conversation offered a window into how some of President Donald Trump's most fervent supporters are finding new connections on messaging platforms that are largely hidden from public scrutiny. Unlike sites such as Facebook, Telegram is a messaging app which is invite only, which maybe means you shouldn't invite the reporter. Maybe not invite the reporter. Maybe not that. And encrypted chat groups. It really doesn't matter once they're inside the walls. Within days of the riot, more than 25 million users globally joined Telegram. The chat also made clear that at least some of those involved in the Capitol riot, despite a sweeping crackdown, appeared dedicated to planning and participating in further violence. A lawyer for Lang says he was not aware of his client's social media messages. He said he planned to enter a not guilty plea and contend that Lang was exercising his First Amendment freedom of speech rights. After Lang's arrest, his father told the newspaper that his son struggled with substance abuse. As a result, he's had numerous issues with law enforcement. No, this isn't his first rodeo. You don't say. You don't say. This isn't his first rodeo. He's had prior interactions with law enforcement. Oh my God, what a shocker. I wonder if that might have influenced the judge's decision not to grant bail. I wonder if his prior run-in with law enforcement might have also been a factor that might have suggested to the judge, you know what, I think this guy might be a continuing threat. I wonder if that might have been an influence in any way. His father emailed a statement to newspapers saying, "We're praying for my son. He conquers his addictions." Jake Lang's public social media depicted him as an internet-savvy serial entrepreneur with his hashtag trips to Coachella and Art Basel. Public records show he moved through various business ventures, from selling vapes to another selling custom hats. For a time, he ran social media management, which promised to help prospective models gain social media famous by unlocking industry secrets that would triple their Instagram. Well, I mean, this guy did accomplish that goal. I mean, he didn't necessarily say how he was going to do that. He just simply said, work with me, and I promise you'll become social media famous. I mean, he does have some fairly unique techniques. He will triple your Instagram following. Everyone at the FBI is thrilled to subscribe to your account, man. If you're at the FBI and would like to subscribe to social media, you can always hit that subscribe button right here on Civil Law. We welcome our friends from the FBI and the Department of Justice. You know, you guys aren't always right. I'm more than happy to criticize the FBI and the DOJ. They're not always right. But, you know, when you got it, you got it. When you got it, you got it. So, you know, yeah. Most recent social media post by Lang acknowledged his struggle to stay sober and deepening interest in religion. In an Instagram post from last year, he tagged Christ Energy. He set goals for himself to memorize the Hebrew alphabet and stay kosher. After his participation in the insurrection, Lang seemingly turned his online audience building skills to a new mission. On the evening of January 8, he turned to Instagram to set a round of invitations to join his private Telegram group, appealing to patriots willing to act locally and nationally as an armed paramilitary. When new members joined the group, he emphasized they should remain anonymous by hiding their phone numbers and changing their usernames to @PatriotName. Well, I mean, that's still kind of a clue, guys. I mean, @PatriotName is going to, you know, if I change my username to @PatriotKurt, you know, that's still going to give the FBI kind of a clue. You know, it's still going to give the FBI a clue. Here's members to avoid chit-chat and any specifics about future actions. Some floated gatherings on Inauguration Day or a few days before in state capitals, although others warned the protests on these days could be a trap. Participants were told they'd be vetted to make sure who they claimed to be. The vetting process apparently left something to be desired. The vetting process appears to be less than complete over at the Patriot groups. They don't appear to be very good at it. Lang repeatedly used photos and videos of himself in the Capitol to stress the importance of the military-styled organization in the future. That's just great. So he used videos of the attack on January 6th as a motivating factor for people to join. It's like, I want to create a militia group. I want to create a militia group. What is your militia group going to do? What are you going to do? Well, this is the kind of thing that we're interested in doing. Here is our exemplar of the kind of things that we as a Patriot group are going to be doing. You know, yeah. A woman just died in this video being trampled by DC police because we aren't organized in Patriot. An apparent reference to Rosen Boylan, who died in a stampede at the Capitol. This was my carnal cry for real men to stand up and help. This was the first battle of the Second American Revolution. Make no mistakes. This is war. Again, I'm starting to see some subtle clues as to why he might have been denied bail for the last 4 years. The subtle clues. I don't know how much of a patriot you think it makes me or not, but Judge Uncivil is somewhat disinclined to grant bail under these conditions. I may be a conservative and I may be a Republican, but I'm having a real hard time seeing the case for bail under these conditions. So, yeah. He posted a code of conduct in the group, as well as a set of meme-like instructions for members to prepare for a national blackout, buying long walkie-talkies and stocking up on guns, ammo, and food. Some of the chat recruiters referred to Lang in language borrowed from the military. When one new member asked who the group leader was, another replied, General Jake. Your soldiers are reporting for duty. Lang also encouraged recruiting at local gun shops. Yeah. So, I mean, we could dig deeper into the procedural history of it, but it seems like he hasn't invoked his right to a speedy trial. It seems like at least for the last 2 years, he's been asking for delays. For whatever reason, he's been asking for delays. So, okay. It seems like they have videos of him swinging a bat at a police officer. It seems like they have evidence of him using a riot shield to try to attack a police officer. It seems like they've got their prima facie case. Plus, of course, that's only their prima facie case. As I mentioned, I imagine since then it's gotten better with other social media video they discovered, other video perhaps from police body cams, cameras from inside the Capitol, surveillance, witness reports, and so forth and so on. So the case probably has improved since then, one would imagine. So, yeah. So I mean, I'm not beyond the possibility. I'm not beyond the possibility that something perhaps has gone wrong in his case. I'm not beyond the possibility that somewhere along the line, something has been denied to him, in some sort of procedural sense. I'm not beyond the possibility that somewhere along the line, there's been a bad ruling as applied to him. I'm not beyond the possibility. I'm not saying that, everything that's happened in the last 4 years is necessarily all 100% great, because I haven't looked into the case in incredible detail, right? So I'm not beyond the possibility that there's a case to be made that some ruling somewhere has been unfair to him, or otherwise he's been treated in an unfair manner, or somehow there's been an unfair delay despite the, waiver of, despite the waiver of, speedy trial, that somehow there's been an unfair delay even beyond that. And no, I'm not necessarily completely opposed to those possibilities, but the prima facie case against him looks pretty reasonable. And the delay seems to be at least partially at his request. And he's totally guilty. So I'm not sure what Tim Pool was ranting about the other day when he was talking about this political prisoner. He's talking at some poor guy from the left who, is some David Pakman wannabe, who is a smug little asshole. So, he's talking to some smug little prick, David Pakman wannabe leftist. And, this leftist is coming off as a smug jerk face. But, Tim Pool's ranting about, this guy's been a political prisoner. He's been held without charge. I'm pretty sure that Tim Pool said he's been held without charge. No, he hasn't. There's 13 counts. He's been held without bail. Yeah, he's been held without bail. It seems like, that's a pretty easy decision. Not having a real hard time reaching that decision myself. Seems like denial of bail seems like the right decision here to me. So it's like, unless we want to get into the nitty gritty of some decision and say how some decision was unfair or unjust, I'm not making the outrage case that this is like a complete aberration of all that's good and right. But of course, all that aside, Trump, of course, has the absolute right to pardon him if he wants. It's a pure, absolute, unquestioned, unchecked plenary power. So, if Trump wants to pardon him or commute his sentence or whatever, that's something Trump can do. Now, personally, I'm not necessarily sure it's something he should do. If it were up to me, I'd be considering pardons for people who were merely trespassing, parading, merely like causing disruption, right? That would be my inclination. Or at least, I'd be considering that. I'd be considering pardons for people who are guilty of just being there, people who were entering the buildings, people who were, parading, people who were just being disruptive, right? People who are just causing noise, would be my sort of inclination of people to target for a potential pardon. But if you broke things, if you stole things, if you attacked a police officer, if you engaged in, sedition, like some of the Proud Boys were found guilty of sedition, less inclined to grant a pardon for you. But that's just my inclination. But, of course, it's up to Trump. He can do whatever he wants, and we'll see what he does. So I don't know what I have more to say about that. But the DOJ made their prima facie case, which is not surprising. The DOJ tends to be pretty good. Again, we've done 50 whatever of these things at this point. This is number 58? And of the 58 that we've done, we've only once said, I don't think the DOJ has it. Only once did we say the DOJ, I don't think they've got it. So they tend to be pretty conservative. Small c conservative. They tend to be very restrained in bringing charges. They tend not to bring in unless they've got it. So, yeah. Seditious conspiracy. Isn't that different than sedition? Maybe. I'm not sure how much it matters that it's seditious conspiracy versus sedition, but, to the extent it matters, yes, seditious conspiracy. They only had an agreement and tried to take an affirmative step towards that agreement. So yeah, they only had a conspiracy to commit sedition. They didn't actually commit sedition. Yeah, to the extent it matters, sure. To the extent it matters, sure. So it was only a conspiracy to commit murder. It's not like they actually did the murder. Well, yeah, to the extent it matters, yeah, okay, fine. Also, by the way, I did take note that was it that same interview with that same guy? It might have been that same Tim Pool interview where they said like, oh, there were no agents at the Capitol, right? And it's like, oh, there was no evidence that there were agents at the Capitol on January 6th. Because there was that recent report that said there were something like 26 or 27 informants, which, an informant is not the same thing as an agent. I mean, I can see the point. But there was no evidence that there were any agents at the Capitol on January 6th. And I'm like, well, I know of at least one for sure. We talked about him before. There was a DEA agent that was charged. He had his gun and his badge, and he was there, and we covered his case, right? So I was like, well, I know of at least one agent that was there that day. He was charged. Maybe that wasn't your point, but, it's like there's no evidence that there were any agents there that day. I'm like, I know there was at least one. So they missed a thing. They missed a thing. So anyways, I guess I'll sign off for now because I don't really have anything more to say. Have you enjoyed this? Have you enjoyed this stream? I hope you have. And also, of course, by the way, though we've said it before, it's not necessarily the case that there aren't some people who have potential affirmative defenses relating to being invited in. I feel like I need to mention that because people make it this. People seem to mention that every time. It's like some people were invited into the Capitol. I'm like, that's possible. That's possible. I mean, we've certainly seen photos and videos that seem to reflect that. So it's possible some people have a defense of they genuinely thought they were invited in or genuinely allowed to be there. So like I'm not beyond that possibility. It's like I'm not necessarily saying that there aren't defenses to be had. I'm not necessarily saying that there aren't people who would have a valid defense of saying, yeah, I thought I had permission. The police let me in. I thought it was okay. So, there are potentially some people who do have defenses along those lines. Just not any of the people we've ever covered, right? None of the 58 people we've ever covered has had that potential defense. This guy doesn't have that potential defense, right? It's like, and there were definitely some people who broke in. We know it. We've seen it. We've covered their cases. Some people broke windows. Some people broke in. So it's like, yeah, some people might have a defense that they thought they had permission. So it's not necessarily the case that there aren't people who genuinely thought that they might have had permission or genuinely, were confused in some sense. It's just not this guy. So it's like, yeah, there's potentially that defense, just not for this guy. Thank you for $9.99 for the pounds. Thank you, £9.99 from Snacks. I appreciate it. What about entrapment? Entrapment is a very, very narrow defense. To the extent they were invited in, they might have a valid case of entrapment. But entrapment is a very narrow defense. In order to have a successful defense of entrapment, you have to argue that the police enticed you to do something you wouldn't otherwise do. Right? So like, it's not simply that the police make the opportunity available to you. They are enticing you in a way to do something that you wouldn't otherwise do. So if the police open the door and they're like, come on in, either by word or gesture, then yeah, maybe entrapment, right? Maybe entrapment. Because it's like, I wouldn't have come in but for, you essentially inviting me, right? There's a potential entrapment defense to be had there. But entrapment's a pretty narrow defense. Because you have to show basically that you wouldn't have done it otherwise. But yeah, if the police opened the doors and they said walk this way, and you did it, then that might be entrapment. It also just might be straight invitation. It's like you actively invited me, so I wasn't trespassing because you can't invite me and then trespass me. Like you can't. It's like those are mutually incompatible things. It's like you can't invite me and then also simultaneously say I'm trespassing. You can change your mind, I suppose, about the invitation, but you can't like say I'm inviting you in and then like, haha, you're guilty of trespass, right? If there are no trespassing signs all around and I say, come on in, like, and then I come in, it's like, haha, there are no trespassing signs. Yeah, but you invited me, asshole. So it's like that doesn't work. Yeah. Yeah. Holding the door open for you could potentially be entrapment. Yeah, that could be the kind of thing. Like, so if the police were, and there's some evidence to suggest that might have happened. And so some people might have valid defenses along those lines. With respect to parading, with respect to trespass, with respect to disorderly conduct, right? Because those are all sort of implied. Right? If you assume that they were invited in, well, they can't be trespassing. You invited them in. The parading, it's like, well, they're marching around. Well, you invited them in. The parading is them walking in a group. Well, if you invited the group, right, then that's parading. But it's like, okay, disorderly conduct. Well, people make noise. So again, if you invited them in, disorderly conduct sort of disappears. But it only gets you so far. Like it gets you to parading, it gets you to trespass, it gets you to disorderly conduct. It doesn't get you to stealing things. It doesn't get you to breaking things. It doesn't get you to assaulting a police officer. It doesn't get you to stealing the police officer's stuff. It doesn't get you to using their riot shield or putting on their helmet or any of those things, right? So like the invitation only goes so far. It'd be like me inviting you into my house, right? It's like I invited you into my house, right? It's like, can I trespass you? No, that's stupid. What if you use my bathroom? Well, that's probably implicit in the invitation. You got something out of my fridge? Maybe. You start smashing my stuff? No. Right? You start smashing my stuff? No. You start attacking me? No. Like the invitation does not go that far, right? So the invitation only goes so far, man. There are limits. All right, I'm going to sign off for now. I like you guys. You guys are fun. You guys are fun, and I love you. I love you, and you guys make me happy. I don't actually want to sign off. I really don't want to sign off because you guys are just making me happy. And I haven't talked about depression in a little while, but I was feeling a little bit depressed today. So I don't want to sign off because I was feeling a bit depressed. So I don't really want to sign off, but I just don't have anything else to say. Maybe have a workout. See, that's a really good suggestion. That's a good suggestion. Maybe have a workout. That is a good suggestion. Take the whatever energy I have and go to the gym and lift some weights. Lifting something will make me feel marginally better. So that's a fair point. I'm going to finish my protein coffee thing that I'm having, which, is enjoyable. I'm going to finish my protein coffee thing. And then I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to lift some things for a while. I'm going to do some chest row and that will make me feel better. And then I'm going to have a birthday on Monday. Holy shit. I'm getting old. Gotta go. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.